There's a psychological study where violent criminals rated videos of pedestrians from 1 to 10. From easy to victimize to I would avoid trying to victimize that person. What they did was try to figure out who these violent criminals would attack. And there was a couple things. I like this one. People that the perpetrators would look at and say, I probably wouldn't assault that person. They had something that they called organized quality. So the person just looks organized. If you look squared away, it's a real thing. Yeah. People sense that. The victims, the way most of the people that were identified as, I would attack that person, they would say they had inconsistency in the way they walked. So how should we walk? How should we carry ourselves? Well, I started diving into this rabbit hole a little bit. NBC News had an article written by Steve Cardian, who was a police officer. He's in the Marine Corps. He's a detective. He was an FBI defensive tactics instructor. The crux of this article is that it takes a criminal about 7 seconds to decide whether you're a good victim or a bad victim. One of them is stride length. Forceful, dynamic steps. Forceful, dynamic steps, medium length. So you're not trying to step too far, because then you look awkward. Posture, you got to stand up straight. Makes sense. Here's how you don't walk. You don't want to take little small steps either. Yeah. Little tiny steps. Because then you either look timid or you look like you're hurt or like you're limping and you're like a weak gazelle out on the plains that's about to get taken down. Yeah. If you're slumped over, you're hunched, it means you're scared. If you're slower than everybody else, you're probably injured. You're probably some way weak. You can't propel yourself with any amount of force.
You for sure can't get away. That's kind of like what it feels like. They can't escape. Look how slow this guy is.
That was another one. If your arm swing is too small, that means you're timid.
Yeah.
Which you can imagine someone walking all huddled up right together. What I like about these things is it's kind of things like you said, you don't even notice them.
Yeah.
So what if you're a person that does these things? Yeah. Or when you get nervous, you do something.
Yeah.
You need to pay attention to it. And then on top of these things, of more things to do is be looking around. Right? You shouldn't be just, obviously, what do we see nowadays all the time? It's people staring at their phone. Yeah. You should have what we used to call in the SEAL teams, head on a swivel. Looking around, looking at people.
Yeah.
I see you.
That's a big one. Yep.
I'm tracking you. Yep. You don't have to stare at them, but you just look at them. Yep. Maybe you give them a little nod, but you at least let them know I'm tracking you.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing. Let them know that you see them. And then that thereby takes away the element of surprise. It puts them in a little discomfort. Here's the counterintuitive thing about looking at people. Sometimes people don't want to look at people because they're afraid you're going to start something, right?
Yeah.
Whereas just looking at people, like looking around, is what you should be doing. And when you're not confident enough to look at someone, that's a signal in its own right. So if you're not looking at me, I know you're not confident.
Yeah.
Right?